Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to GameStar TV. And no, we will not be right back. We are back as we head into the third and final game of this best of three series between Nomia and Darksided. This will also be the final game of the night on stream as well. So we'll be drawing the raffle at the end of it. Make sure you type exclamation mark GS Hot in Twitch chat and make sure you're a follower to enter for a chance to win a loot box code. So 12 loot chests with that code that you'll win if you win the raffle. So make sure you enter. Well, without further ado, we're into game number 3. Skimmy and Vandy will take you through it right now. Take it away, Skimmy.
Well, it wouldn't be a night of Heroes of the Storm between both Nomia and Darksided if we didn't have this map right here. Tomb of the Spider Queen going to be the final way for this one to be closed on out. And this, the map of choosing by Darksided, none other than Darksided. Let's see if we get another repeat of the scary Chromie plays.
I'll be quite surprised if Nomia doesn't either pick Chromie or ban it out. I think there needs to be a respect ban. And I mean, they're hovering over it, and that's it. The deed is done. So the big power spike, the big, I guess, carrying factor is Hacky on that Chromie. And Nomia, finally, they respect that, and they know they need to get rid of it completely.
They've always had interesting levels of success when they've come to this map in terms of how they flex their might. They sometimes left Chromie alive, or sometimes allowed her to go through the draft, I should probably say. Or sometimes they've, versed against it, and it hasn't always been the prettiest set of pictures, but much the same as week number 1. The respect bands are there on either side. Vala taken away from Ben as well, and Tassadar locked on in.
Tassadar is the instant response, and although we don't have Vala, who's optimal, he's still got the likes of Lunara, Cassia. You can still enable, and Tassadar, even Tracer on a map like this, you can enable quite a lot of heroes. So as I said, Tassadar, he's just a great flexible pick, and he's a very strong pick, more importantly.
Now, because Vala is banned away, you'd imagine they'd be looking at the Lunara or the Cassia as a hero to try and enable with that Tassadar, but it's all eyes on where Darksided want to open up. Chromie has been banned away in the past, and they have opted to flex for the likes of Greymane quite consistently in this first rotation. Sometimes Genji, otherwise they have a bit of an affinity to go for the Arthas as well. 18 seconds left on the clock. They're not going to be playing around with globals like Abathur.
No, I mean, now the Stitches and Uther are open for them if they want to respond accordingly. And if they want to utilize that, Nomia have been taking that away from them all night. Is this going to be finally the time where they get to use their support heroes? No, look at this, Skimmy. Going for the Oriole, going for that Gul'dan. So like the Oriole, as I said, I almost forgot that pretty much they had to pick Oriole for that reason, but Gul'dan, great battery for Oriole and works really well on this map.
Instantly locked on in there, and this is an interesting one because the Anub'arak is a good response towards the Gul'dan, but the Gul'dan Greymane matchup, now that one is a little bit almost skill-orientated in terms of the dive can obviously come from Greymane. The Drain Life can be used as a good barrier or a buffer to keep himself topped up, not to mention the Horrify, a big component there in terms of actually shutting down the Greymane. But the ban comes out. Darksided, once again, not going to take any chances. Fasted on a map like this might not seem like the smartest ban, but still can find a lot of value, turning fights into a numbers advantage at any given moment.
Absolutely. Skimmy could not agree more. And that Anub'arak, he has been doing a lot of work when he's been chosen, I guess. So let's see what Nomia can do. Ooh, they were hovering on that Leoric for a moment there, but instead opting for that Dahaka. I quite like the Leoric ban, to be fair, because no. If they ban the Leoric, it means that they can't pick it for themselves. Whereas I don't think Darksided, after looking at the rest of their composition, I don't think that they will go the Leoric. I feel like Robodoba or Sashin, they'll want to take that Muradin.
I mean, I'm conflicted because we've seen them play Leoric a lot, especially on this map where they can bounce between the two lanes and essentially do what Nomia did to them, but on a smaller format. They will have the Oriole, they will have the Gul'dan, they'll have the superior wave clear, which has been a big component to them winning games, like, for example, in the earlier match on Dragonshire. And this is something that we always talk about when it comes to a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen. We value wave clear far more than kill potential. And with Leoric being taken away, that's definitely accelerating that one factor. But talking about the next two picks, how do they want to try and build around this Oriole and the Gul'dan? Diablo's been finding a lot of success so far. You'd imagine, though, seeing that the Anub'arak and Greymane has been locked in, they'd want to try and pick some more heroes to almost peel and protect this Gul'dan.
That's it. So if they can keep that Gul'dan nice and alive, he'll be able to generate all the hope for Oriel. And like you said, he's got that Horrify up his pocket. Anubarak will be pressuring him, though, alongside that Greymane. So on the side of Darkside, it's all about seeing what they can use. What wall can they put up? So Muradin is one of the picks I forecasted that they did pick up, but Tychus as well.
Muradin locked on in, and the Tychus, as you mentioned, not going to flex for the Lunara. Would not have minded the Lunara, quite honestly. It would have applied a lot of damage then to complement the Gul'dan, spamming away not only with the Corruption, but the Fell Flame itself. But Tychus, such a strong pick as well, especially when Anubarak does jive on in. If he is committed to it, he can get instantly shredded from that minigun trait.
Tychus a good pick on this map for those reasons, as you said. Fills in the role, I guess, that Leoric would have, being that tank shredder. On the side of Nomia now, what do they need then to get past the Muradin? What do they need to really secure the kill? If not on Gul'dan, on Oriel. They can go, I guess, well, they need to go double support because Tassadar, he's not really a healer. He's more of just a support to supports in a way. A pseudo support or backup support. So what do they want to be their main healer? They've gone for Uther. Pairs very nicely with that Greymane, can enable him with the Divine Shield. But last pick now, down to the wire.
Down to the wire indeed. You'd imagine it's another DPS, and it is. It is going to be the Malthael, and that's going to be another strong pick here, allowing him to find fights and find a potential to dive that backline and just exploit people. Tormented Souls, uncontested really, apart from the Horrify, if you take away the likes of the Muradin Stormbolt and the Oriel. But that is going to be the Ragnaros. We have not seen this since Season 3 Finals. I do not want to get the chat a little bit too excited, but I'm thinking one thing, Vandy. Lava Wava.
Lava Wava indeed. Will it be Sashin playing that one as well? He has said that he was the one that innovated it. And the Malthael as well, Skimmy, we forgot, he also adds to that wave clear pile as well, which is so important on a small map like this. So teams are locked and loaded, they're ready to go. I want to see which team's going to come out on top. So one apiece tonight.
One apiece tonight in the final game of the Week 2 playoffs. What would it be? We've had a Tomb of the Spider Queen map with Darksided participating. It is Nomia versus Darksided in what is going to be the decider here for the bragging rights to carry them through the rest of the week. ANZ chat will be dictated by this one game.
Spicy memes, get ready, because this game probably will be full of them. There's bragging rights at stake, as well as those all-important points, because the winner will be representing, or will be potentially representing, our region at BlizzCon.
That is the end goal for these teams, getting as many points as they can during the regular season, aiming for that top 2 positioning and aiming for that potential to play at the ANZ LAN. But for the final time tonight, let's introduce these teams. Starting on the left-hand side, it is Team Nomia. It's going to be Jim Jam, this time playing Tassadar, Fat 94 on Greymane, Ryu playing Malthael, Penta on Anubarak, and Vanilla once again on Uther.
And on the red side, we've got Team Darksided with Moops playing Oriel, Sashin on Ragnaros, Haki on Gul'dan, Robodoba playing Muradin, and last but not least, Demise on Tychus.
They are going to lock in with the Q, so that's the Sulphurous Hungers at level 1 for Ragnaros. He's going to opt the more standard variation. We have seen people opting for the Living Meaty as a result of the changes, but not a big fan, to be quite honest. And that's what we're talking about on game number 2 for the Tesla. Psi Infusion going to be the opted choice for that wave clear, as opposed to the Templar's Will.
Absolutely, Skimmy. Very well noted. And once again, touching on those Ragnaros changes, I mean, couldn't agree more. Living Meteor has been, I guess, picking up some popularity, but also agree, just not a fan. Doesn't give that sustain. Quite easy to dodge if you're expecting it.
Easy to dodge indeed, and that's what they're going to need to be doing, making sure they have the nimble feet when it comes to this one, because Penta is looking for something. He's looking for a chance to try and knock somebody up and allow the team to then collapse on through, especially looking to empower what Greymane can do. A lot of pressure this time on Fat 94 to achieve the raw potential of their damage as they look for the stun collapse onto Demise, but the healing is there. Haki working as that battery.
You almost got punished just for that simple rotation because members of Nomia were expecting that, anticipating it, if you will. With the Oriel, the advantages that they do, as long as Haki is throwing out that damage, generating the hope, it can be almost a repeat of that Cursed Hollow game with the Oriel. Just push for days.
Swing our attention to the solo lane. It is going to be Malthael up against the Ragnaros. And it's a case of sustaining, really waiting for that influence to come from a gank like such. Demise jumps to the bot lane, instantly forces the Fountain Tap to come across, and he is dropped to half.
That gank, at least, it put a little bit of the pressure off Sashin just for this moment, because we know Malthael, the sustain that he gets from the minion wave, as well as if he lands that Wraith strike onto you, he can really start to heal up a lot of his health. I almost forgot for a moment. I'm like, what am I saying?
It's a beautiful love story there, Vandy, and this could be another one here. First blood is being flirted with, and Graham
no.
is the first one to fall. The detainment strike is there. Moops makes sure of it. Kill target secured, and Darksiders start off with the very first blood.
This time it's Fat94 who gets caught out by the rotations and picked up, dropping those gems. Luckily, he did have members of Nomia on standby ready to pick them up, and it's early game, so he's already going to be running back to the lanes. We can now see in the gem bank, we've got almost 25 apiece on both teams, so whichever team can get that turn in first and can also siege with it, more importantly, not just turn in, but siege with it to get that experience ball rolling, can be quite advantageous.
100%. It's always that race, and that's why wave clear is such a priority, because you want to get those gems as quickly as possible, and they're looking to try and deny a portion of those 12 on Rio. He is low. The grenade is not going to connect, and Sashin has to be careful here. Down to 150 himself as a result of tanking tower shots. But as you mentioned, yeah, all about stockpiling, getting 50, and 12 could have disappeared.
They wanted that kill, as you said, to the point where Sashin was almost going to die for it. It was just not going to happen. Ryu, he lives to fight another day. Sashin now, with that close brush for death, handing in the gems while he has the opportunity to do so. Looks like Penta wants to follow suit. If Sashin catches on what's doing, he can actually poke and stall this. But no, Penta gets to turn in quiet, so that's 18 gems now in the bank. Members of Darkside now, they're trying to turn their gems in when they can.
24 stacks, now 25 on the pursuit of flame, increasing the radius of that fell flame for Haki. Such a good level 1 talent, but in the bottom lane, that's where the action is, and that's where the action begins. And it finishes with Ragnaros dropping down to the first gank attempt from Nomia.
It's a good thing Sashin handed in his gems, because otherwise that would have been a nice healthy chunk of gems lost to the lane. So Nomia now, they're trying to capitalize on these rotations, and looks like they're trying to get the turn. Robodova interrupting now. If he's not careful, he could actually fall here.
Too beefy to die to just 2 people chomping on him. As Vanilla takes a lot of damage from the minigun. The bigger they are, really coming into its own here from Demise at that level 4 mark. But no clear advantage to start this game off with, Vandy. We are even when it comes to XP, relatively even when it comes to gem count as well, with a slight advantage for Nomia.
Nomia, they're playing this one carefully, so they don't want to get caught out yet again. We can see the aggression that Darkseid like to bring out. Oh, Haki getting low there, but instead Ben's the one that needs to retreat.
Oh no, Ben some way lives. No gym jam, but he manages to get out. He jumped into 5 people looking for the collapse onto Haki, but they just could not punish him hard enough, and that is really the sort of things that Darkseid should be capitalizing on.
They really do need to. The fact that no one was able to net that kill on him, it will punish them a little bit. And Moops, I was going to say, if the fight goes on for extended amounts of time, that is the power of Oriole. As long as she can generate hope, she will be spamming out those heals. And that's what we saw Vanilla doing last game as well. So important to shut her down.
Session buying some time here with a Living Meteor, waiting for his team to rotate down to the bottom hand in. And that they do. 45 of the 50 required, handed in by Nomia. Not going to get the push that they deserve and the push that they are so hungry for. They reach level 7 first, and that's really what it's coming down to, is trying to make sure that you can get that siege and you can start to snowball, as you were mentioning.
The siege is so important, but more so it's just about getting that pressure down. So Moops, look at this, every time they take some poke damage, once again, it's almost like magic, right? He's just healed right back up to where they started from. Jim Gem, he's getting awfully low. There's only 5 gems needed now on the side of Nomia before they can summon the Web Weavers.
Demise is going to be interrupted at the very last second, and same for Robodova, who commits to the stun target. Can't find it on towards Penta, but it does buy him enough time. The rotations come through. Nomia go through the bot lane, and Nate get the first hand in. And this is a case of how much value they can get from it. Generally speaking, good teams will pick up a level or 2 to justify that hand.
If they die here, that will all but cancel out the push that Nomia are trying to bring. But if they can get a pick, it will really enable them. So this is where it becomes quite important for Darkseid. It's a Demise in the top lane. This is the pick that Nomia were trying to get. Luckily, he had the rest of the team members of Darkseid ready to join him.
So lucky there. Penta really using the very last stretch of his burrow charge to try and connect, but it wasn't enough length to knock him up in the air, and the Impale was all they had. And that extra CC had been bought, that might have been enough to try and drop him down and accelerate this push in the top lane, but it is going to result in 1 tower falling, the second being out of ammo, and the other Web Weavers starting to make their mark on the map too.
The Web Weavers are starting to create that push now, starting to get a little bit. You can start to see the experience bar of Nomia creeping up on slowly as those walls are starting to go down. Mumak being a constant bully. Sashin holding his ground, as that Ragnaros in the bottom lane.
And that's what you're looking to do with this one here. Get as much XP as you can. That final tower on the top lane, very, very low. Mid lane cleared out, and bot lane receiving the same treatment as well. And that's going to result in them, after all things done, receive a half-level lead going into level 10 first.
Absolutely, but now this is where it becomes important for Nomia. They need to stop the turn-in or stall the turn-in happening on the side of Darksided, at least until they can get 10 and try to force a fight where they can then take those gems away. That's how you snowball on this map.
Sashin playing with the game sense of a god right there, hugging that wall, making sure that he does not face check a brush and lose 16 gems in the process. Penta was on patrol duties waiting for it, but they commit to the mid lane. That's where they're going to go for it. The cocoon comes across, they go for the target, and they execute onto Tychus. Divine Shield ensuring that he lives. Mooks cannot do anything. No Aegis because they're not 10, and no heal because he's locked out of place. And the full score might be enough to pick him up as a second kill.
Almost, but Nomia were hesitating for a minute there. This time now with the burrow charge. Looks like they're going to go on Hacky, and he's the next to fall.
Suddenly that has unlocked that turbo charge, and they just go to town, picking up a triple kill for their efforts. And the Living Meteor picking up a stray kill with that fadeaway with style from Sashin.
Jim Jam would not be happy with that. Penta is very low on mana. He needs to run away. He needs to live. He's holding on to 28 gems. Sashin just throwing out the bombs and the lava wave coming through in that middle lane, trying to secure a kill there.
Oh, Demise still hungry, and that is the lava wave. The prophet has spoken. The innovator is back in town. The famous meme meets you in the Twitch chat once again, and that then complements the next set of web weavers, spawning this time for Darksided, looking to even out the slight XP lead.
And Sulfurous Hungers as well has just been completed by Sashin, so he gets a little bit of a power spike there, netting some additional damage. Looks like Nomia there, keen to force a fight. Demise has Odin'd up as well to help with the siege.
Odin is going to go straight through this top lane, and Ragnaros was pushing bot for the meantime, but he is now going to rotate on through, not going to take that direction because that would meet two Nomia members in the face, and he could just drop in a heartbeat. The aggression is still happening in this top lane right now. Odin's still got a little bit of time active on it. He's starting to work towards this fort, but it's still little scratches at this stage.
It is indeed. With the members of DS now backing off, it really allows Nomia to be able to take out that top web weaver, but they're going to try to seek value elsewhere because that bottom web weaver is pushing relatively uncontested now. If Nomia go to defend this, look at this Darksided, they're happy to push that middle lane.
The value has been acquired. They didn't take down the top fort, but the web weave in the bottom lane was left uncontested, doing its own thing. It does take out that fort, and that's going to now allow this web weaver to find that value we were discussing, shift the XP lead back into Darksided's favor, as now they look to try and win that race to 13 and then force another fight.
I mean, XP has been relatively even in this game, although we've had a couple of slippery bits and bobs. What Nomia were able to do with that level 10, the fact that they couldn't knock anyone out with the gems, that's really where Darkseid were able to creep back up.
Hacky doing some damage across the wall there, forcing a dimensional shift very early on from Jim Jam. That will be back up in 20 seconds. Such a big cooldown, but that is the talking point right now. Going on towards Fat 94, and that Divine Shield was honestly so well timed, completely negating the Horrify. The biggest counter. Love Wave comes across, it's not going to do anything. Slight tickle to Ryu, but the fight is turning on its head. The Odin is ready for it. And 94 looking for that one kill. Moves doing everything in his power bestowed to keep these members alive. And the stabilization is there. The gems fall on down. Hacky lives and he clips two.
Hacky was just on nothing. That was crazy. The splash of Gilnean Cocktail just proving not enough, and that's the power of Oriel, why she's been banned out so much so. And as well, I mean, they do have the Tasta on their side, but the sustain is not on their side, more importantly. So Mook's able to keep his team alive to win the fight.
Must be so frustrating for the Nomia boys. They want to get in and get out, and they're looking for Robodo, but he is definitely low. Doesn't have that third win talent available. He has 40 gems in his possession. Would be a huge pickup if they could take him, but both the frontliners jumping onto Fat 94. Ghost Bullet comes on out, and Ventilate is the first one to fall. Now Divine Shield is available, and he can't even use it. That might be what they need to take Nomia out of this team fight, but what has happened is Nomia prevented that boss being picked up.
That was what I was going to say, Skimmy. More importantly, the boss was delayed, and that's what Nomia's objective was. I mean, it's a shame that Vanilla couldn't live, because now Darksided, they are aware of that, and they will look to force the fight.
Both teams, Vandy, have 75 gems in their possession. So much so that both tanks are carrying 40 of that. So it's all eyes on when they choose these initiations. They need to have confidence in their plays. And 40 are going to be currently handed in by Robodova. No response right now. That's clean execution.
Yep, Nomia, they just weren't able to filter in. They're really lacking. What's really lacking on their team is a lot of that range DPS. They really just have that Psy wave coming out of Tacita and Ben's Gilnean cocktail. That's all they have. So as soon as they tried to filter in, we saw Moops using the Detainment Strike to stop them.
And now they're going to look to finish what they started in this top lane. That fault is going to fall, late as it may be. Still going to provide them some static XP to get themselves that much closer to the level 16 mark. But the web wave is seeming to cause a little bit of issues for Nomia in the mid lane. And their rotation straight away as Robodova jumps in with the Storm Bolt.
He's looking. We can see the Odin as well, sieging in that backline. Demise happily just shooting and trying to get Nomia to back off this fort. They want to take it down. But all the while, we've got the top web weaver and the bottom web weaver uncontested. So they will be stomping on. And it's going to be their keep walls that are next up.
Keep walls are the next targets in sight, as you mentioned. Looking to take these ones down. Webweaver in the top lane still healthy. Webweaver in the bottom lane still healthy as Ryu was forced to divert away from his team, forcing a 4v5 situation in that mid side now. As Haki still relentless as ever, just chucking Fell Flames on cooldown.
Fell Flames for days. He does not mind, and I mean, his whole team seems to be lit at the moment because they've achieved that all-important level 16. They've netted a power spike for themselves.
They now break through the walls in the bot lane, opening up another potential win condition leading into these keeps. 16 is there in their advantage. They can have a solid 30-second space to try and find a fight with that advantage in mind. 16 arguably the third strongest talent in this game.
I mean, let's see what they are able to do with it, however, Skimmy. Yes, 16 has been acquired, but Nomia are hot on their heels. They are trying to also close that experience gap before they find themselves in another fight.
Let's take this little lull to bring up the numbers themselves, the stats when it comes to DPS, and this comp really is all built around Fat 94. 47,000, doubling, potentially even tripling some of these players on this team right now. It's all about him getting in and getting those kills. Second on the scoreboard would be Haki's Gul'dan at 42,000, second to the 32,000 coming out of Demise's Tychus. So the damage is there across the board. It's a matter of execution, and right now, Fat 94 is looking for those quick swipes.
But look at this, because Darksider know how many gems Nomia have. Look at how patiently they are waiting in that fog, waiting to see if they can force a fight now with Nomia. However, Nomia, finally, they do have that level 16. It's even talent advantage now.
Panthers had enough, and the better Barbs comes across, and Fat 94 wastes no chance to jump on in. The Divine Shield instantly interrupting the Horrified Beta, the Aegis, acting as a cleanse. Haki does live, but at what cost? Because Ryu now is jumping into the backline, doing whatever he can, applying Reaper's Mark to 4 people. Odin is not safe. Nobody is safe right now, but nobody dies. And Penta says, this is my time to shine. He makes the MVP play, the cocoon, the kill, double kill. And Nomia turned this one around.
Penta executed that one absolutely perfect, Skimmy. That cocoon came out when it most needed to, putting it out onto moves, unlocking him out, and then they were able to take out Haki. Once the battery was gone, then we could start to see DS start to crumble. It was really touch and go there for Nomia, but they knew what they had to do, and the communication was so brilliant.
Beautiful execution there from Nomia. Very clean and very crisp, and they find the kills thereafter, and they snowball it in their direction. Suddenly the XP is back at 17.5, and with the respawn time is still being at 10 seconds, this is at least looking at them taking down a keep wall and evening out what Darkseid just did in the bot lane.
Yep, and Nomia, they wasted no time as well. They got the turn in to get the blue web weavers to help them siege as well. And this is where things can start to get a little bit iffy. So with that talent advantage, with the experience advantage that they get, 20 is looming for Nomia. And they actually should have enough to do back-to-back turn-ins if they choose.
Really looking at both Vanilla and Fat 94 right now. Vanilla's been playing out of his world with these Divine Shields, making sure that Ben is not interrupted and not countered by these Horrifiers coming out of Gul'dan. And it's going to take a different approach from the boys of Darksider here to try and shut that one down, because it is proving into this later stage of the game too much scaling for them to handle.
It shows the experience that Vanilla has as well, and we saw him on that Oriole. He is the support main of Nomia, and he has been playing that role for at least a few seasons now, so just really showing that experience, and the timing is something that you really just get through experience, essentially.
Well, Nomia finally even at the board, and it is not a single fault standing on the battleground. We are talking keeps now, and that is signifying the late game is about to really kick into a second gear. 16 minutes into this one, 20 is the next goal in mind, as 19 is just approached by Nomia. Boss being the only objective on the map right now, as the Giants in the bot lane spawn, but objectives really more impactful than the Mercs themselves.
That's it. I mean, both teams have enough to do that all-important turn-in. So it will come to, I guess, delaying the turn from Nomia. But we do see Penta going in now, followed by Fat94. There's no follow-up. It looks like Darkside, they want to disengage.
Yeah, Jim Jam in a bit of a weird situation. He was flanking down that U-bend at the bottom, trying to make something happen, but he just could not seem to have the right positioning to really lock somebody in place with that force wall, and that's going to be Penta jumping on in now. Cocoon comes again once. Looking for moves. Robobe is the target in mind. The lava wave is going to come through mid lane, and they need to be careful right now, Nomia, because if they stick around, this is going to take a lot of work. And he's feed into the fire. See you later, mate.
Oh no, this is not what Nomia wanted. This time the Cocoon, it was just on the wrong target and collapsing onto Robodoba. He's the tank. Yes, you do have Malthael, but why Robodoba? There's so many other targets that you could have focused on. So, Nomia sensing a little bit of that panic there. They were trying to force a little bit too hard. What this has now allowed is Darkside to flip the switch. Now it's Nomia that are being sieged upon by the Web Weavers.
This is the back and forth we discussed. We said, what do Darkside need to do to try and disrupt this combination? And Divine Shield was not even used in the exchange. And that's going to be Robodoba once again looking for it, but the real key component in that exchange was Penta wasn't able to get the Baru nor the Impale to start everything off.
That's it. So Penta, if he's not able to make the plays, Nomia just need to back on off. And like we said, they were trying to, but they just got punished so heavily for that by that Horrify. Otherwise, they were pretty much all out. Hacky just saving that one up his sleeve.
Keep survives. Web Weaver remains in this top lane, as 20 is right there for the taking. Fat94 going to eat the wave to the face. It's going to survive, is sitting around, and you can see that Hacky is posturing aggressively. He had the Horrify available in 5 seconds, but decides he doesn't want to commit to the flashy play, wants to play it standard. And Nomia going to look for this one.
Both teams are pretty much 20 first now, being acquired by Darkside and Nomia as well. Not far behind to get it. Their keeps are still standing though. This is the most important thing to take out of the push that happened from Darkside. Nomia still have enough gems for a turn-in, and Boss is still online. So whoever takes out, if Darkside are able to take out Nomia in this fight and make them drop their gems, this could be potentially game for Nomia.
42 gems on Fat94, and that's not where you want to have them right now. A lot of pressure on him to make sure that he lives. There goes the jump, and the burrow charge interrupting the Dwarven toss. They all collapsed on the Aegis is there. Cocoon interrupts it, and the fear once again disrupted by the Divine Shield, but Ben cannot find the kill. Rob is just such a beefy tank. Double lava wave coming through, and that could do some work to turn this fight around.
It is. Sashin, he's banking on it, but they're so low. The Nomia boys are even lower though. That 94, he's got 42 gems. He does not want to die.
That is it. Darkside have got the kills they wanted, and we were talking about it. They just cannot seem to find the kills. And it just really snowballs out of their face as these fights last a long time. Odin gonna chuck on some nukes from downtown. Rob gonna jump on in looking for the Stormbolt, but Vanilla has other ideas in mind. And it's casualty control.
Happy feet going out by Vanilla. That was a great sidestep. Ryu had to pop. No one can stop death, but the call's made now. As I said, that boss was available. They do not have to turn, but I believe that boss will be enough. He will smash through. This is a late game boss, so the times are still quite long. He'll be able to smash through at least the key. So Nomia, they need to be on their guard. And I mean, I'm just questioning a lot of where Nomia are going wrong, and I see them putting a lot of resources into killing Robodoba, and I just can't quite understand that. I just don't get it.
The last 2 times they've committed to Robodoba, and it hasn't really worked in their favor, despite the Uther doing an impeccable job making sure Fat94 can dive into that backline uninterrupted. It just does not prove to be successful enough, and you discussed that the sustain is the big factor. Moops making sure that these members live and are kept alive with all the hope he is generating. But as you say, the keep is going to fall on down. Nomia need to look for a fight.
They do, but they also need to look for defense, because I am worried here. If any member falls, that could just be enough for Darkside to continuously push through. Boss still on half health. It's going to march straight towards the core now after dealing with this small tower.
Keep is down and the core is healthy. The shield has not been touched just yet. The boss is coming on through now. Lava Wave not going to find any value, but the Molten Core is there. Greymane is the first one to fall, and I think that's it. Tesla next. The fear ensuring that Malthael cannot live. GGs have been called. And Darkseid is just proving to be far too strong on their home turf. That core is falling on down, but Darkseid are going to take this one 2-1 on the night.
Great stuff. Darkseid coming from behind. Nomia putting up a great fight as well with their substitute, with Jim Jam being lovely enough to step in so Nomia could play their games. It was just a really hard-fought victory. So Nomia, they didn't want to let that one through, but Darkseid proving that this is their map, and it's their map for a reason. They know the ins and outs, and they prevailed in the end.
Another night of Heroes of the Storm and another upset, if you want to call it that. We've seen some pretty cool results already leading into Season 4, with it all up in the air as to who's going to be able to take it down as the ANZ King, the champion of ANZ leading into that road for BlizzCon. But that does it here for us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to pass you back to Crisis because we've got one final skin to hand on out.
Hey, it's not actually a skin, it's a loot chest code. So, but who's checking? Well, I suppose I am. Well, what a fantastic result for the Dark-Sided fans amongst us. Not such a great result for the Nomia fans amongst us, but Nomia looking as strong as ever, and that game felt like it was on a tightrope for a very, very long time. So,
yep.
A fantastic round. Well, I think that's it for all of the games tonight. If we just head on over and get the bracket up for you, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be able to see exactly who's managed to go through. So your 4 auto birth qualifiers for next week are Dark-Sided, Nomia, Crimson, and NMD, and that is going to be the 3rd week in a row that those 4 teams make it through to the playoffs. So the way things are playing out here in the ANZ's Heroes scene is we've got a set of 4 Division 1 teams that have come out through this format that we've been playing. So fantastic to see the teams succeeding from week to week, maintaining their position in Division 1. Now, that means there are a bunch of teams in Division 2. They're going to be playing again tomorrow night right here on GameStar TV starting at 7:30. That is a Swiss bracket series, 4 matches. Best of 1 series though, and those teams will be playing for a qualification spot in next week's Division 1 tournament, shall we call it, or round. So the last thing that we have to do is we've got to draw that final loot chest. So let me head on over to my beep boop 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 bop, and let's see what the robot does and whether we've been able to get the bugs out and make sure that he doesn't pick Holy Grail yet again. So here we go as we go through.
Tool Dealer.
Tool Dealer is a winner, and I'm pretty sure that Tool Dealer has won before. So, you know what? I'm going to have to do another draw. No, I can't. You know, fair's fair. It is a totally random raffle, and I will say that I'll be heading over to the Phantom Bot forums just to see if anybody else is having any RNG issues, because Tool Dealer has definitely won in the past. And of course, Tool Dealer made a request last week as well, or 2 weeks ago. He took the opportunity to say, hey, there's a match in the archives that I'd like to see, and we've uploaded that onto YouTube. So if you are familiar with GameStar's 13-year history of esports in the Oceanic region, you'll know that we've got thousands of casts over the years. We've got more than 1,000 cyber gamer casts alone, and we've been casting from Game Arena, Got Games, the whole bang shoot. So if there's something in the archive that you'd like, head on over to gamestar.com/request and just put in a request, and we'll dig it up out of the archives. We'll put it up on YouTube, and we'll make a bit of a fuss on your behalf. Now, Skimmy, you know, if we hark back to the beginning of the evening where we looked at what the opponents were going to be for Nomia tonight, well, they dispatched NMD, but they weren't able to get past Dark-Sided. And I guess there's got to be something to be said about the way that Dark-Sided approached tonight as opposed to last week.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed whether or not Robodobo and Sasha would flex in terms of their role. They have so much experience when it comes to playing that tank, so it was cool to see that little interaction has been worked upon and tweaked, but also just the adaptation to know what Nomia bring and understanding how they need to be playing that kind of matchup, because we saw during week 1 a very passive reserve style of play. Coming into week number 2, it said we realized that we win the majority of early to mid game, and that was no better sort of example than what we saw on display for that 2-1.
And Vandy, Nomia by no means were a pushover tonight. Both of the matches tonight going 2-1 and 2-1. So, they put up a good fight. What do you feel is going to be their biggest takeaway?
I mean, perhaps just not having a sub. It's hard to say, because with John, they have a lot more flexibility in roles. Perhaps Jim Jam, I noticed he was sticking a lot to that Li Ming, especially in the beginning, and Nomia were building a composition around him. And, as well as what he was slotting into. But once they get John back as well, I think we'll see Nomia. They took a lot out of this. I loved seeing their trump card of the Lost Vikings, and I think teams will be more wary of things like that, as long as they have just a solid understanding as well of when they look back, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I mean, the decision-making against why they were focusing Robodoba on that tanky Muradin, it just did not pay off. And how come they just didn't change their tactics a little bit earlier? So just some small things. It's a long night, and perhaps everyone's just run out of steam at the end of it.
I'll take the hint right there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a fantastic night. We'll be uploading the VODs after 24 hours. We have to do that as a partner, a Twitch partner. So we'll get them up onto YouTube for your viewing pleasure. If you want to get early access to them, though, hit that sub button. It just costs you $5 and you get access to all of the VODs as soon as you want, and you get all the groovy Twitch chat, as well as me wielding the ban hammer in between trying to do things and getting yelled at for tours and that sort of thing. So it's been a great evening. Thank you for being with us tonight. It's been fantastic to have, we peaked at 200 viewers. We've had more than 100 all through the night. A fantastic result for the ANZ Heroes of the Storm community. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow night for the Swiss round of week number 3. This has been a Gamester production, and from Crisis, that's me, Skimmy, and Vandy, good night.